Okay, so here are the three big stories for today. So, Washington has been very slow in working on Ukraine aid, but I think it's going to happen. They're working through it. It's a laborious process. Uh, Top Biden officials are confident that it'll pass. I see good signals from senators on both sides. Of course, Mike Johnson's a sticking point, but I think they'll get things through. It's just taking far longer than it needs to take. This should never have taken this long. It's a shame on us in the United States, and more particularly the Republican leadership that's doing what it's doing. Meanwhile, in Europe, they have agreed to a $50 billion aid package for Ukraine. Even Orban got out of the way here at the 11th hour. So that's $50 billion over 4 years. So there's a stream of revenue that will be coming to aid Ukraine. Meanwhile, Victoria Nuland says that the U.S. guided precision small diameter bombs are to be at the front soon. Well, they were supposed to be there by the end of January. We're now in February. We're not seeing it. But while they're talking about this, and by the way, there's no other articles talking about it landing, so it's still not there. But while they're talking about it, Putin's making something of this. Putin is vowing to make military gains in Ukraine as he meets with his campaign staff, and he's saying things that because the Ukrainians are going to have this longer range artillery, they're going to need to back the Ukrainians up to have a buffer zone to protect the Russians in these four oblasts that have been stolen from Ukraine. He said this. Putin, and by the way, this is just a cut and paste directly from the Institute for the Study of War. Putin said during a meeting with his election proxies that pushing the current front line deeper into Ukraine is the most important goal for Russian forces across the theater. That is, they're not stopping. They're going to push further. He emphasized the idea of a demilitarized or sanitary zone in Ukraine that he claimed would place Russian territory, including occupied Ukraine, out of range of both frontline artillery systems and Western provided long range systems. So that's what the artillery, the long range artillery that they still haven't gotten, has caused Putin to argue that we need to push even further, which was part of the plan all along, but that's what he's doing. So if you look at a map, because Putin says that he owns this real estate, he also says now that he needs to have some kind of buffer zone here as well. I would argue that the buffer zone should be out here with some kind of demilitarized zone, but nobody's listening to me. Okay, those are the three big stories for today. Thank you for the time and the likes and the shares and subscribes and the coffees. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.